Hi there, this is Alison from Freddie Loves Crochet, and today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to create the ribbed edge of your garments, plus how to add buttonholes. If you enjoy this tutorial and you find it useful, please do like, comment and subscribe for more tutorials and patterns coming very soon. Have a great day. To begin with, to make the ribbing, you first of all, at the edge of your sleeve or the bottom edge or sides of your cardigan or jumper, you need to make sure you have a round of single crochets, which is the US term, or double crochets in the UK. This is just so that whatever you've got going on before, whether it's granny clusters or whatever type of stitch, it's just so that you've got a nice even edge to work from with this. So I've already been round and done. I'm going to work on my cuff at the moment. And how you would add ribbing to an edge of the cardigan at the bottom or around the sides and around the collar and the neck is exactly the same as you would do with the cuff. So it doesn't matter what part of the garment you are doing, the technique is the same. So we're going to start. I've got my yarn already joined. I haven't broken my yarn from here. If you're doing your cuffs in a different colour, join with your new colour where you'd like to start, and then you're going to start with some chains. So I have decided that I would like my cuffs to be 9 stitches, so which means I need 10 chains. So I've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and the last one is 10. So once we've done that, we're kind of going to work a little bit more sideways. So if you are left-handed, this would all be reversed for you, so you would be doing it that way. So we're going to now work back down our chain and then attach our stitches to the base of the cuff here and go along. So you kind of go up and down, along, up again and down, and you attach them to the base of the cuff as you go. So working from the second chain from the hook, we're going to put our hook in and just do some single crochets, US term, double crochet, UK term, all the way down. So you will decide how big you want your ribbing to be, how wide. You can do any amount of chains. It doesn't have to be an odd or an even number. I'm going to work all the way back down. So I should have 9 by the time I get there. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then 9 is my last one. So I've worked back down it. Now I need to sort of anchor this to the bottom of the cuff. So I've already got a stitch in here, so it can be quite tricky to find where we do this and how we do this. I'm going to zoom in slightly for this so you can see a little bit better. So I've already got a stitch in this one here. So I'm now going to go to the next stitch along, and I'm going to do a slip stitch in one and then another one. So in the next 2 stitches on the base of the cuff, so at the bottom of the cuff, you're going to do 2 slip stitches there. Once you've done that, you're going to turn your work so that you're then going to work back along this set of stitches. Now here are the 2 slip stitches that you did, 1 and 2. You're going to go right over those. You're not going to do a chain or anything at the end. You're just going to skip over them. You're not going to work back into them. So the first stitch of the 9 of my cuff is here. Now in order to make it ribbed, we just work through the back loop. In order to find the back loop, you may need to tilt your work towards you. So instead of putting your hook directly into it there, tilt your work towards you, find, oh sorry, my finger's in the way, find the back loop, and then this time you're going to work, and from now on you're going to work all your single crochets in the back loop. And that means that the loop that isn't worked into is what creates that ridged look for the ribbing. So as you can see, these are the unworked stitches, and it gives you, or the unworked loops, and it gives you that ribbed look. So I'm going to go all the way down. 1 2 3 4 5 7, 8. And then for the last one, now this is entirely personal choice. For the last one, which can often be a bit hidden and bend around a corner, but you can see there is still a stitch there to go. You don't have to do this. If you want, you can just work into the back loop. But I personally, for the very end ones, just on this side, I work into both loops. I work into the whole of the stitch, just because I think it finishes it off a bit neater. But it is entirely up to you if you do that or not. So that's my preference. And I only do that when I'm coming down. I don't do it going back up again the other way. It's just on the one where I'm working away from the base of the cuff. So I've got to the end. I then do need to chain 1. And then I need to turn again. So I'm going to go back up. Again, I'm going to go in the back loops here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, just need to turn it again. There we are. And 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I've done my 9 here, and this is where I need to then attach it to the base again. So I've worked into this one here. I can tell I've worked into it. It can be quite hard to work out where you've gone in this. You can tell I've worked into it because when I pull it, it makes a bigger hole. So that one I've worked into. So my next stitch along is here. So if you remember, I'm going to do a slip stitch, yarn over and pull through everything on my hook. So that's 1, and I'm going to do another one next to it, and then 2. Then I'm going to turn my work again. I'm getting all in a tangle here. I just have to turn my whole cardigan. I've got a whole cardigan out of shot here. So turn my work again, so that I can then do that. And then, like I said before, you're not going to go into the first 2 slip stitches that you made. You ignore those. You don't do a chain or anything. You just skip over them and you go back to your ribbed cuff and in the back loops again. So you're going to go all the way down in the back loops. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you remember, in the last one for number 9, I like to go through both loops of the stitch rather than the back one, just for that one there. There we go. Chain 1, and then you're going to turn and work all the way back up again in the back loops. And when you get to the base of the cuff here, worked in that one, so you're going to do a slip stitch here and a slip stitch here. You would then carry on doing the same thing all the way around until you got round to this part here. I'll just show you on the other sleeve. So this is where I've gone all the way round, and this is where here I have joined. So it's hardly visible because I have joined using a slip stitch. So I've turned it inside out like that. So I'm working on the back of it, and then I've slip stitched just going into those back loops. So I'm continuing with that back loop pattern. You will have to sort of turn it the other way to work on the inside of the cuff when you get there, but then when you turn it back out again, it's practically an invisible join there. You can just about make it out there. Oh, slightly off camera there. So that's how you do the ribbing. And next up, I'm going to show you how to add some buttonholes to it. Okay, so I'm now going to show you how to make the buttonholes. They are so simple to make in crochet. First of all, you need to decide how many buttons you want, and you need to space them out. But once you've made those decisions, how you actually make them are really easy. Now, it's really helpful to have your button with you and handy, because you just need to check that the size is right. If you're kind of not made buttonholes before in other types of crafting, you just need to make sure that the hole itself is smaller than the button. It needs to sort of, it needs to stretch over the button so that it doesn't come undone, because it's nothing worse than a button hole that's too big, then your buttons kind of pop open all the time. So I've got quite big buttons here. So like I said before, I've got 9 stitches on my ribbing here, and I want to put my button centrally. So I've already tested this, and I'm going to place I'm going to make my buttonholes 3 stitches wide. So if you have a look at the size of my button compared to those 3 stitches, it's actually quite a lot bigger, but not so big that it wouldn't be able to stretch open to put the button through. So what I've done is, because I've got 9 and I want to have my buttonhole 3 stitches long, I've crocheted in the back loops again, 3 single crochets here, and I'm up to the point now where I'm going to make the buttonhole. So I'm, instead of crocheting into here, I'm going to chain 3, because I'm going to skip these 3 stitches, and in place of it I'm going to make a chain which is the same size as those 3 stitches. So I've done my 3 single crochets, I've chained 3, and I'm going to skip these 3 stitches here and go then carry on just after it. So I've got 3 more to go on the other side of the buttonhole. So back in the back loops again, and I'm going to make 3 single crochets in the regular ribbing style. So there we go, we've now got a little hole there. At this point, this is where you want to check that your button fits well through. So it does stretch it a bit, but it's not too big. Okay, if you find that it's too big, go back and adjust the amount of chains that you're doing if your buttonhole is going to end up too big or too small. So once you've done that, you get to the end, you chain 1 and you do your turn, go back round. It couldn't be simpler, to be honest, doing buttonholes once you've worked out your spacing and everything. Then I'm going to go back along. So I've got my 3 back loop stitches here, 1, 2 and 3, and then I've got my chain of 3, and so all I do is work into my chain. Now you can either pick up 1 or 2 loops of the chain. I like to pick up 2 because I think it stretches it less. So a chain consists of 3 kind of strands. You can see that there's 1, 2 there, and then there's 1 underneath there. So 1, 2, 3. So instead of just picking up 1 like that, which would then potentially make quite a big hole, I pick up 2. So I can see I've got 2 strands there on my hook to make my buttonhole from there. And then I'm going to carry on in those back loops. 1, 2 and 3. So I've got all 9 stitches still, but with a hole ready for my buttons on the other side. Finishing off the row by doing your 2 slip stitches back into the base of your work, and then turning and then just going back along like you have been doing. Really, really simple. So that's how you do ribbing and how you put in a buttonhole for your crochet garments. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial today. I hope it's been helpful. Please do give me a thumbs up or a comment if it has been, and a subscribe too would be very nice. I would really appreciate that. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again with another tutorial or pattern soon.